Well, hi there and welcome back to lesson number 7, I grew up. At least I hope you grew up. And maybe if you're like me, you don't want to grow up. All right, well, welcome back. Now, I'm sure that you've been doing all the work, right? And if you are, I'm going to tell you, you should begin to feel more confident, more competent about your 1-minute introduction, right? You're kind of getting it, right? Now, let's roll up our sleeves because we had a lot to do. So this is the moment in your intro where you're going to tie your past and your present together to deepen your listeners' understanding about why you do what you do and why it's so important to you. And I'm right here on page number 25. So this I grew up story is going to help show not only where you came from, but it's going to create a context for your passion, your mission, and your vision. And the truth is, people, they tend to forget data and other factual information, but they always remember a good story. So let's make sure that yours is a memorable one. Now, in the last lesson, we added one of the keys to your success. And if you're still struggling with that, let me share something. There's a lot of power in limiting what you share down to its essence. Warren Buffett, he teaches this simple focus exercise. He said, you want to focus? Write down 10 things that you want to do, whittle them down to 3, and then just pick one and do it until it's done. That's one of the keys to his success, and he's pretty successful. Now, you don't have to think of this as a compromise. I want you to think of this as an investment in the future relationship you're having with your listener. Less is more. If they stay interested, they'll want to be able to share more, do more, invest more. This is just so true for your story. Your story needs to be short, meaningful, and have impact. It also shows the human, relatable side of you. And remember, you want to be specific. The I grew up is best if it's unique to you. It's not a generic story about I grew up in New York in a middle-class family. No, it's I grew up in a very small 1,100 square foot house with one bathroom that we all had to share. See how that gives you some information about why I feel the way I do, or I have a big heart to make everyone feel comfortable. Now, the story has got to relate to what you do now. It can't be some random shocker like, oh, I don't know, my dad used to beat me with a belt, and now I'm a dog walker who knits cute dog clothes. Massive disconnect there, right? But if you did want to use a dog story, you might want to say, okay, the family dog ran out, got hit by a car. Devastated by this, I realized how precious furry friends are, and I am devoting my life to them as a veterinarian. Get the point? Right. Okay. The other thing is that to be the most effective, it should have a life lesson. And that really is what the listener is waiting for. So one of my 1-minute stories. Okay. This is interesting. I say that I grew up as an awkward little girl with buck teeth and frizzy hair, braces. I was overweight. But that persistence and believing in yourself, which is what I did, is one of the keys to my success, even against all odds. So I took my limitations, because you look at me now and you don't see the braces, you see maybe she's come somewhere, right? But now it's a lesson about persistence and believing in yourself. Short, sweet, and when you get to the point, ooh, it's magic. All right, now it's your turn. Turn to page 25 in your workbook, okay? I want you to dive into your story. And so given what you're working on and promoting now, can you think of maybe 2 or 3 relevant stories? Maybe 4 of them, okay? Here's space for you to jot them down. And then here's what I would do. I would let this sit for a day or 2. I would just write them, and if you need more paper, go grab it. Because I'll bet you that you have some great stories in you that you haven't thought of in a while. And if you pull them out and really use that as part of your pitch, you're going to elevate and ignite your listener to, say, a new height of awareness. Now, while you're thinking, one of the things you might want to do, reach out to 3 of your friends. Oh, wait, 3 of our friends. Just kidding. All right, let's go back to Devin. So Devin talks about growing up dirt poor in India, but he had a dream. And so I grew up having a dream, even though I was dirt poor, seeing wealth everywhere around me. And because of the social system in my country, knew that I couldn't achieve it here. I'd have to leave and pursue my dreams somewhere else. The moral of his story is don't let your limitations define you. Good one, right? Angie's story of growing up, drinking at a young age of 11, spiraled her into a very harsh life. And because one of her mentors believed in her and had her focus on addiction recovery through health, through fitness and nutrition, today she's paying it forward. Interesting, right? And finally, our course developer, Susanna, she was labeled as a hopeless student in her school years. Can you believe this? But she used that as motivation to prove her teachers wrong and to become a uniquely talented educator with a huge compassion for all those who have learning disabilities. Wow. Yeah, this is the cool thing about life happening for you, not to you. and you are the sum of the obstacles you overcome. Pretty good, right? All right, so I want you to think about, okay, what are you writing? And just a couple of sentences for each one. We don't need an entire novel. The assignment really is I want you to craft up to 4 stories that really support what you're up to today. Let it sit for a day, share it with somebody. And then your goal is to pick one story that's the most relevant to this pitch that really feeds into your mission. All right, that is part of your template. And then of course, finally, let's go back to lesson number 7. Hey, my name is, I'm known as, because, an example of what I've achieved. Now what I'm up to is, and I grew up, ta-da. All right, I'm hoping that you're enjoying the process. And if it brings up some harsh memories, take a moment and really, sometimes those need to be examined. Write those down anyway, and just keep them, let them flesh out, see how they're working for you. But I have a firm belief that the worst part of your story is often the best part of your pitch. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable, to be real, raw, and authentic. And I'll tell you what, it will make you very memorable. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.